My ex-husband cheated with my sister, and I found out because a mortgage broker congratulated me on buying a house I'd never even toured. It was a Tuesday in late October, 8:17 a.m., and I was standing in line at the Dunkin' on Route 9 in Framingham, Massachusetts, half awake, still wearing my hospital badge because I'd worked a double shift as a respiratory therapist. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Hi, is this Lauren Pierce?" a man asked. "Yes. This is Matt from Bay State Lending. I just wanted to say congratulations. Your offer on the Colonial in Ashland was accepted." I laughed because it was ridiculous. "I think you have the wrong Lauren." He didn't laugh back. "Same email we've been using, Lauren.Pierce. He read it out loud, my actual email. Then he added, "Same joint application with your husband, Eric Pierce." My coffee suddenly tasted like metal. My husband and I are divorced. There was a pause, the kind that has paperwork behind it. Ma'am, the file says you're still married, and you signed the pre-approval yesterday at 6:42 p.m. I hadn't signed anything at 6:42 p.m. At 6:42, I was FaceTiming my mom, going over her chemo schedule, trying to sound like I wasn't terrified. Matt lowered his voice. "Do you want me to email you the document?" I swallowed. Yes. He sent it while I was still standing there, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, a guy behind me impatiently tapping his keys. I opened the PDF, my name, my social, my income, my signature, and then right there, Eric's signature beside it. Like we were still a team. But the weirdest part, under co-borrower contact, the phone number wasn't mine. It was my sister Megan's. That's when I knew something was wrong. Eric and I had been divorced for 8 months. Not dramatic, not explosive, at least that's what I told everyone. The truth was quieter and worse. He'd slowly turned cold, then busy, then confused, and finally done. He was charming in public. Great smile, great handshake, the kind of guy who'd carry an old lady's groceries and post it on Facebook. In private, he could ice you out for days and call it meeting space. We'd been together 9 years, married for 5. No kids, thank God. Mostly because Eric always said, "Let's wait until we're stable." Meanwhile, I was the stable one. I paid the bills on time. I kept a spreadsheet. I reminded him about car insurance. I covered the gaps when his sales commissions didn't come in, and Megan, my little sister, my mom's favorite, the free spirit, she'd been sleeping on my couch on and off since her last breakup. She called it resetting. I called it, I don't want her on the street. The first time Eric made a joke about Megan moving in permanently, I laughed. The second time, I didn't. The third time, he said it when I was in the shower and Megan was downstairs and I heard them both laugh. I told myself I was paranoid. Now I was staring at a mortgage application with my signature that I didn't sign, and Megan's phone number listed like she belonged where I belonged. I walked out of the Dunkin' without my coffee. In my car, I called Eric, straight to voicemail. I called again, voicemail, so I called Megan. She picked up on the second ring, breathy like she'd been running. "Hey Lolo, what's up? Where are you?" A beat too long. Target. What Target? Natick. I knew that was a lie because I could hear an echo, like a hallway, and a faint beeping like an office phone system. "Megan," I said, keeping my voice level, "did you put your number on a mortgage application with Eric?" Silence. Then she laughed in this light, fake way. "What? No. Why would I do that?" I stared at the PDF again. "Because it's right here." Her tone sharpened. "Lauren, you're being dramatic. That word, Eric used it like a weapon. The two of them shared it like a secret handshake. "I'm emailing you the file," I said. "Open it. Tell me I'm wrong." "I can't right now," she snapped. "I'm busy." "Doing what?" "Living my life," she said, and hung up. My hands started shaking. Not just anger, something heavier. Like grief, but for a version of reality I couldn't go back to. I called the broker back. "Matt," I said, "I need everything you have, every page, every email, every text. Who has been communicating with you?" He hesitated. I can't. I am telling you," I said slowly, "that my identity has been used without my consent. If this closes, You're in the middle of mortgage fraud." That got his attention. Within minutes, he forwarded a thread. Eric had been emailing him from Eric's account, but there were also messages from my email messages I never sent. And the tone was wrong. Too bubbly. Too many exclamation points. Like someone was impersonating Lauren. Then I saw it. The landline contact listed. My mom's house number. The house where Megan reset when she didn't like my rules. The house where Eric showed up with groceries and acted like the good son-in-law even after the divorce. I didn't call Eric again. I drove straight to my lawyer. Marissa Klein's office smelled like peppermint tea and printer toner. She'd handled my divorce, and she'd warned me Eric would try something slick the moment my life looked too calm. I slid my phone across her desk. She skimmed the file, eyes narrowing. "This is bad." "Bad like credit score bad?" I asked. "Bad like felony bad?" she said. My stomach dropped. Marissa tapped the screen. "If someone submitted a joint mortgage application using your personal identifiers and forged your signature, that's identity theft. And if they actually intend to close, that's wire fraud territory." I exhaled, trying to steady my breathing like I did for patients on ventilators. "What do I do first?" Marissa held up one finger. "Freeze your credit today." Second finger. "File a police report. Even if you're not ready to press charges, you need a paper trail." Third finger. "We stop the closing." "Closing?" I repeated. She leaned forward. "Lauren, this is moving fast. When is it scheduled?" I checked the email again, scrolling. "November 3rd, I said, at 10 a.m. at an attorney's office in Worcester. Marissa's face went still. "That's 9 days. 9 days until Eric and my sister use my name to buy a house. Not just any house." In the thread, the address popped up again and again. A 4-bedroom colonial with a sunroom and a fenced yard. The kind of house Eric used to slow down for on evening walks and say, "One day." Their dream house. My chest tightened. "How much is it?" Marissa nodded toward the loan estimate. "Purchase price, $6,159. Down payment, $61,200. Where are they getting 60 grand? I didn't answer because I already knew the first place to look. Our old emergency account. The one I had stopped checking after the divorce because it made me sick to see my savings tied to his name. I logged in right there in Marissa's office. Balance, $308.42. My throat went dry. It was $81,000 in February. Marissa didn't look surprised. "When was the last time you personally withdrew from it?" "Never," I whispered. "That was my money, my overtime, my tax refunds." Marissa's tone turned sharp and practical. "Okay, we're not guessing. We're documenting." She printed a checklist and started writing dates like we were building a case brick by brick. "Step 1, she said, "we request bank statements going back 12 months. Step 2, she continued, "we subpoena communications if we have to. Step 3, she said, looking straight at me, "we find out who else is involved. Because someone helped them. A lender doesn't just accept forged signatures without some back-channel reassurance." My phone buzzed again. This time it was a text from Eric. "Eric, why are you calling lenders? Eric, stop. You're going to ruin something important." I stared at the screen. Not "you're confused." Not "what are you talking about?" Stop. "You're going to ruin something important." I showed Marissa. Her eyes flashed. "Don't respond yet." Another text popped up. Immediately. "Eric, we can do this the easy way. Eric, just stay out of it and you'll be taken care of." Taken care of. Like I was a problem to manage. My voice came out small. "He thinks he's already won." Marissa reached into her drawer and pulled out a slim black device, one of those digital recorders that looks like a USB stick. "Lauren," she said, "Massachusetts is a 2-party consent state. You can't secretly record phone calls." My stomach sank. "But," she continued, tapping the device, "you can document everything else. Texts, emails, voicemails. And if we set this up the right way, we can get them to put what they're doing in writing." I blinked. "How?" Marissa smiled, and it wasn't friendly. It was surgical. "We let them think you're scared," she said, "and we make them greedy." My phone buzzed again this time. Megan. Megan, can we talk? Alone. Don't tell mom. My pulse thudded. A secret meeting request. A countdown on the closing. Missing money. Forged signatures. And my sister asking me not to tell her mother, who was fighting for her life. I typed one word back. Me. Where? And as I hit send, I realized something that made the hair on my arms lift. They weren't just stealing my identity, they were stealing my silence. Megan told me to meet her at 9:30 p.m. in the parking lot behind Stefano's Pizzeria in Natick, the kind of place with one flickering light and a dumpster that always smells like garlic knots gone bad. I didn't go alone. Marissa couldn't come, but she sent me with two things, a printed timeline folder and a tiny notebook where she'd written in block letters, "Do not admit anything. Ask questions. Get data. Skills." And I brought my friend Tasha, an ICU nurse with the kind of eyes that notice everything and the kind of personality that makes men like Eric nervous. She parked 3 rows away, engine off, watching. The air had that sharp November edge, and my breath clouded in front of me as I leaned against my car, phone in hand, pretending I wasn't shaking. At 9:41, Megan's silver Civic slid in like it was late on purpose. She climbed out wearing a camel coat and glossy lipstick overdressed for a dumpster-adjacent meeting. She smiled like we were meeting for margaritas. "Hey, Lolo." "Don't," I said. Her smile faltered, then rearranged itself into something injured. "Okay. Wow. So you're mad." "I'm not mad," I said. "I'm confused. Because a lender sent me my own signature on a mortgage I didn't sign. And your phone number is listed as mine." Megan's gaze flicked to my car window like she was checking for a reflection. "Eric said you might overreact." There it was, not denial. Strategy. I kept my voice calm even. "Explain it to me." She exhaled dramatically. "Fine. Eric and I are together." The sentence hit, but not like a shock, more like a puzzle piece snapping into the most disgusting picture. "How long?" I asked. She crossed her arms. "Does it matter?" "It matters to me," I said. "Because you were sleeping on my couch in March." Her eyes slid away. "We didn't mean for it to happen like that." I almost laughed. "And the mortgage fraud, was that supposed to happen like that too?" Megan's face tightened. "It's not fraud." I pulled out my phone and opened the loan estimate. "Then why did someone submit my social and my income? Why does it say I'm co-borrowing?" She stepped closer, voice low and quick. "Because the lender wouldn't approve him alone. That's it. It's temporary." "Temporary," I repeated. "Just until after closing," she said, like she was explaining a bridge loan. "Then we refinance. Your name comes off. No harm." "No harm?" My voice cracked despite myself. "You emptied our emergency account." Megan flinched. "That money was Eric's too." "It was not," I said. "It was my overtime while he played entrepreneur." Her eyes hardened, and for a second she looked exactly like Eric when he didn't get his way. "Lauren, you're being selfish." Selfish, because I didn't want felonies in my name. I forced myself to slow down, to do what Marissa told me, ask questions, let her talk. "So," I said, "the plan is you two buy a house using my identity, using my money, and I just, what? Smile at Thanksgiving?" Megan's expression softened into fake sisterly concern. "You don't even want a house. You work all the time. You don't have kids. Eric and I are building a life. Building a life. Out of my bones." I swallowed hard. "Why my email?" She shrugged. "Eric said you still have access to some of the accounts. It was easier if you didn't get alerts." That was the first real clue. Alerts. "Wait," I said. "How did you get into my email?" Megan's mouth opened, then closed. The tiniest pause. "Eric knows your security questions," she said finally. "He's your ex-husband." My skin went cold. Because I remembered after the divorce, I changed my passwords. But my recovery email was still my old shared iPad. And the iPad was at my mom's house, where Megan had been resetting. I nodded like I accepted it. "Okay, I get it. So what do you want from me? Megan's shoulders loosened like she'd been waiting for that. I want you to stop. Don't call the lender again. Don't call the bank. Just let it happen. And if I don't, her voice dropped. Eric said if you don't cooperate, he'll tell Mom you're the reason the marriage ended, that you cheated, that you're unstable. My throat tightened. My mom was mid-chemo. Stress could literally land her in the ER, and Megan knew it. What else did he say? I asked. Megan's lips pressed together, that he has screenshots, that he can make you look bad at work. Tasha later told me she watched Megan's hands the whole time, how they kept twisting the strap of her purse like she was gripping a leash. I didn't take the bait. I'm going to ask you one more time, I said. Are you on this loan or not? Megan lifted her chin. Not officially, yet, I echoed, filing that away. So you're not on the paperwork, but your number is the contact. She didn't answer. And you're telling me to stay quiet, I continued, because if I don't, Eric will hurt me with lies. Megan's eyes flashed. Don't act like a victim. You always played the martyr. I stared at her, really stared, and realized something that made my stomach flip. Megan wasn't just Eric's accomplice. She was enjoying this. I let my face soften, just a little, the performance of fear. Okay, I said quietly. If I back off, what do I get? Megan blinked. What do you mean? I said, I'm not going to prison for you two. So what's the deal? What's in it for me? Megan relaxed, exactly like Marissa predicted. Greed makes people sloppy. Eric said, she began, after closing, we'll give you 10 grand for inconvenience. Inconvenience, I repeated, tasting the word. And, she added quickly, you'll still be invited to family stuff. We'll keep it civil. Mom doesn't have to know anything. So the offer was hush money and access to my own family. I nodded slowly, like I was considering it. Text me that, I said, so I know you're serious, because I can't just trust verbal promises anymore. Megan hesitated. Come on, I said, keeping my voice gentle. If you want me to stop panicking, I need something concrete. Just write it out. Like, we'll pay you $10,000 after closing and your name will come off the house. Put it in writing so I can breathe. Her eyes narrowed. Why? Because I'm scared. I lied, letting my voice tremble. And because I don't want to blow up Mom's life if this is going to be fixed. Mentioning Mom did it. Megan's guilt, or whatever she had instead of guilt, pushed her over the edge. Fine, she snapped. You're exhausting. She pulled out her phone and started typing. My phone buzzed a second later. Megan, if you stop interfering, Eric and I will pay you $10,000 after closing, NOV3, and refinance to remove your name. Do not contact the lender/bank. Do not tell Mom. There it was, a confession with a date. I didn't respond. I just looked up at her. She misread my silence as surrender. Good, she said. See, this can be easy. Easy. Megan walked back to her Civic and drove off, taillights disappearing into the dark like nothing had happened. I got into my car and sat there, hands locked around the steering wheel, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Tasha slid into the passenger seat. You got it? I held up my phone. And writing. She read the text and let out a low whistle. That's criminal. Yeah, I said. And that's not even the worst part. Because while Megan was talking, I'd noticed something else. Her left hand. A ring. Not a cheap one. Not costume jewelry. A diamond that caught the parking lot light and threw back like a dare. Eric had told everyone we couldn't afford a house, couldn't afford kids, couldn't afford stability. But somehow, he could afford a ring. And I suddenly understood the real countdown. They weren't just racing toward closing, they were racing toward making it permanent. My phone buzzed again. This time it was a notification from my bank app and alert I hadn't turned on. New device logged into your account. Location, Worcester. Time, 9:52 p.m. I hadn't moved. I was still in Natick. I clicked into details. The device type was listed as an iPad, my mom's iPad. I whispered, oh my God. Tasha's voice went sharp. Lauren, what? They're at my mom's, I said, already starting the engine. Right now. And as I pulled out of the lot, I realized the trap wasn't just about money anymore, it was about my mother. And I had no idea what Eric was willing to make her sign. I made it to my mom's house in Southborough in 13 minutes too fast, tires humming on cold asphalt, my hands numb on the wheel. Her porch light was on. The living room curtains were drawn, but I could see the blue flicker of the TV through the gap like someone was trying to make the house look normal. Tasha pulled in behind me. "Call 911?" she asked. "Not yet," I said, throat tight. "If I'm wrong, I'll scare her." "If I'm right, I need to see what they're doing." My key still fit. The lock turned with a soft click that sounded way too loud. Inside, the house smelled like Vicks and chamomile chemo week. I heard voices in the kitchen. Eric's voice, warm and performative. "You're doing amazing, Carol. Just one little signature and we'll be done." My mom's voice sounded thin. Lauren would want me to read it. Then Megan, sweet as poison. "She's working, Mom. Don't bother her. This is to help all of us." I stepped into the doorway. The kitchen was bright under the overhead light. Papers were spread across the table. A stapled packet, a notary stamp, a pen placed perfectly in my mom's hand like a prop. Eric sat close beside her, his palm resting on the back of her chair like ownership. Megan leaned against the counter, scrolling on her phone. My mom looked up, and her face flooded with relief. "Lauren!" Eric turned, smile already loaded like a politician caught backstage. "Hey! We didn't expect you. What are you doing?" I asked, voice low. Megan sighed dramatically. "Oh my God." Eric held up a page. "It's nothing. Just POA paperwork. Your mom asked us for help." My mom blinked. "They said it was in case I'm too tired to handle bills." I looked at the top page. Durable power of attorney. Agent, Eric Pierce. Not Megan. Not me. Eric. My stomach dropped so hard it felt like free fall. "You're giving him power of attorney?" I said. Eric's smile didn't move, but his eyes did cold. Warning. "Lauren, you're making this stressful." I reached for the packet. Eric slid it away. That tiny motion told me everything. This wasn't help. It was a takeover. I pulled my phone out and snapped a photo of the document titles before he could cover them. Data. Evidence. Timeline. "Mom," I said gently, "did you ask for this?" Her hands shook around the pen. "No." Megan said it was normal. Megan rolled her eyes. "It is normal. You're paranoid." Eric's voice dropped, just for me. "Don't do this here." "Here," I echoed. "In my mom's kitchen, while you try to make her sign over control of her life?" My mom's eyes widened. "Sign over control?" Eric sighed like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "Carol, you don't need to worry. Lauren gets emotional. That was his favorite move. Calm voice, public concern, private cruelty." I looked at my mom. "Put the pen down." She did. Eric's jaw tightened. "Lauren." My phone buzzed. "Marissa." I answered without taking my eyes off him. "Speaker," I said. Marissa's voice cut through the kitchen, crisp and professional. "Lauren, are you with your mother?" Eric's face changed. The mask slipped a millimeter. "Yes," I said. "Eric is here with Megan. They have POA documents and a notary stamp." A sharp inhale from Marissa. "Do not let her sign anything. Ask who the notary is. And Lauren, remember what I told you. Massachusetts is two-party consent for audio recording. But documents, photos, those are fine." Eric stood up. "Put your lawyer away." Marissa continued, louder. "If they're attempting to obtain POA through deception, that's coercion. If your mother is medically vulnerable, it gets worse." Megan snapped, "Stop threatening us." Marissa's tone didn't change. Not a threat. A warning. "Lauren, take the packet and walk away. Carol should speak to her own attorney and physician." Eric reached across the table toward the papers. Tasha stepped into the kitchen fully for the first time. "Touch her again," she said calmly, "and I'm calling the police." Eric froze. "Because bullies hate witnesses." My mom whispered, "Lauren, what is happening?" I swallowed the ache in my throat. "They were going to use you to get control." To protect their house deal. Megan scoffed. It's not even like that. But her voice shook, just slightly. I gathered the papers into a stack. Eric didn't stop me. He was recalculating. Then my mom did something I didn't expect. She turned to Eric and her voice weak, calm out steady. Get out of my house. Eric blinked, stunned. Carol, now, she said. Megan stared like she'd never heard the word no in her life. They left, not slamming the door. Eric was too careful for that. He closed it softly like he could still control the ending. But in the quiet after, my mom started crying. The kind of crying that comes from realizing you almost stepped off a cliff. I held her, smelling her shampoo and the sterile hospital soap she'd started using because it made her feel clean. And in that moment, the revenge I wanted stopped being about hurting Eric. It became about protecting what he couldn't buy. The next morning at 7:05 a.m., Marissa filed an emergency motion and a fraud report with the lender. I froze my credit with all 3 bureaus. I filed the police report and attached screenshots, Megan's text, the loan estimate, the new device login alert, and photos of the POA packet. Data, dates, names, receipts, brick by brick. Then Marissa hit me with the new approach, the one that made my heart pound. We don't just stop the closing, she said. We show up. I frowned. Why would we show up? Because, she said, Eric thinks you're scared and alone. He's going to walk in there confident. He's going to talk. And confident people say incriminating things when they think they've already won. And we can record, I asked. Video in a public lobby is one thing, she said carefully, but audio is risky. So we don't rely on audio. We rely on documents and sworn statements. And, she added, I made a call. To who? Marissa looked at me. The closing attorney. And the lender's compliance officer. And a detective in Worcester who owes me a favor. My stomach flipped. Detective, Lauren, she said, you're not doing revenge. You're doing consequences. The closing was November 3rd. 10 a.m. Worcester, their dream house day, and we were going to make it their nightmare. At 9:52 a.m., I stood in the lobby outside Hennigan and Price Law offices, holding a folder so thick it barely closed. The air smelled like copier ink and lemon cleaner. My palms were sweating, but my spine felt straight. Tasha came with me. Marissa arrived in a navy suit that looked like authority. Through the glass doors, I saw them. Eric in a tailored coat, grinning, hand on Megan's lower back like she was the prize. Megan wore that diamond ring again, flashing it at the receptionist as if sparkle could rewrite morality. Eric laughed loudly. Big day, he announced to nobody. Then he saw me. His smile stayed on public charm, but his eyes went hard. He walked over like we were friends. Lauren, wow, you came. I did, I said. Megan's mouth tightened. This is pathetic. Eric leaned in, voice low. Last chance. Walk away. I looked at him and I let myself feel it. 9 years of being managed, minimized, rewritten. Then I said, clearly, so the receptionist and the couple sitting in the waiting area could hear, you used my identity and my money. And you tried to trick my sick mother into signing power of attorney to you. Eric's face flashed irritation. That's not true. The door behind the reception desk opened. A man in a suit stepped out with a badge clipped to his belt. A Worcester detective. Behind him, the closing attorney and the lender's compliance officer. And then, because the universe sometimes has timing too, uniformed officers entered the lobby, hands resting near their belts, not aggressive, just inevitable. Eric's confidence faltered. Megan's eyes darted. The compliance officer spoke first. Eric Pierce? Eric's throat bobbed. Yes? We have reason to believe this loan application contains forged signatures and misrepresentation, the officer said. The closing is suspended. Megan snapped. No, it's not. The detective lifted a hand. Ma'am, I need you to be quiet for a moment. Eric tried to recover that charming laugh. This is a misunderstanding. Lauren, she's unstable. Marissa stepped forward. Detective, we have the written offer of hush money, the timeline, and bank statements showing unauthorized transfers totaling $77,358.42 from the marital emergency account after the divorce filing. Eric's face drained of color. Data hooks don't care about charm. The detective looked at Eric. Sir, do you have identification? Eric reached into his wallet with fingers that suddenly didn't look so steady. Megan whispered, Eric, what is happening? And here came the major twist, the one they didn't see coming. Marissa opened my folder and pulled out a document with a gold seal. Also, she said, Carol Pierce's attorney has filed an affidavit that Eric attempted to obtain durable power of attorney through deception last week. Carol is not incapacitated, and her physician has documented cognitive competence. The notary stamp on the packet does not match any commissioned notary in Middlesex County. Megan's eyes went wide. Mom's attorney? My stomach clenched with something like fierce pride. My mom had already gotten her own lawyer quietly after I left that night. She didn't tell me because she didn't want to add to my stress. The woman they thought was weak had been documenting them. The detective's voice turned firm. At this time, we're investigating identity theft, attempted fraud, and potential elder exploitation. Mr. Pierce, please come with us. Eric's mask finally cracked. This is insane. Lauren, tell them you didn't mean it. I stepped closer, just enough for him to hear, and said the line I'd been rehearsing for days. I didn't bankrupt you, I said. You did. I just stopped paying for it. Megan made a sound half gasp, half sob. Lauren, please, don't, I said, the same word I'd used in the parking lot. You chose him. The officers walked Eric out through the glass doors while he kept trying to look dignified. But dignity doesn't survive consequences. And Megan? She stood there in the lobby, staring at her ring like it had betrayed her too. Eric was charged. The loan was canceled. The bank opened a fraud investigation. My credit was protected before any permanent damage hit. The emergency fund wasn't fully recoverable. The restitution became part of the case. Social fallout was immediate. Some relatives tried the keep the peace routine until Marissa reminded them peace isn't purchased with my identity. My mother stopped answering Megan's calls. And me? I stopped shaking every time my phone buzzed. A month later, I sat with my mom during chemo again. The same chamomile smell, the same cold plastic chair. She squeezed my hand and said, I'm sorry I almost believed them. You didn't, I told her. You kicked them out. She smiled weakly. Guess I'm tougher than I look. So am I. Because the real transformation wasn't buying a house or losing one. It was realizing that being nice isn't the same as being safe. And if you're watching this while someone charming is quietly rewriting your reality, check the paper trail, freeze your credit, tell one person you trust. Don't let them steal your silence. Real family shows up. The fake ones show themselves. That's the whole lesson.